Hey guys, James at Lucky Left 615. Today we're going to be looking again back at these OKSIWA LED lights that we put in last week. So I'm loving the lights overall. There's a few things we want to try to address and see if we can't make them a bit better. So I bought this weather stripping off of Amazon. I will link this into the description, into the notes. But essentially what we're trying to fix today, if you notice this bit of gap, so you can see through there. We're going to see if we can't fix that with some weather stripping. All right, first thing is we've got to get the old one out so we can see what we're dealing with here. So I'm going to grab my tools. And we're all set. We're going to back these screws out here. Set these over to the side. While I've got this out today, there are a few other things that we're going to be checking out, right? One, we need to check out the resistor. We still see the hyper flash on these guys, so we want to check the resistor. The team over at OKSIWA suggested that we take that resistor off of the lens itself and mount it to the truck, to the frame. So we'll take a look at that. I don't know if that's going to fix the resistor issue, but it will fix the heat issue. If you recall in the earlier, the last pair of lights that we had, the resistor got really hot and it melted the plastic. So the solution to that is to let's try to mount that to the bed of the frame of the truck and get the heat away from the plastic, and that'll solve for that. Now, whether or not the resistor is doing its job, we still see the hyper flash, so we'll play with that a little bit as we get into it. The other thing that I'm going to look at is the mounting of the bottom of the plug that goes in. So if you watch the other video, you got 3 plugs on the back of your lens. For these new aftermarket replacements, you only use the top and the bottom. The middle does plug in, but it's not connected to anything. The top one and the middle one plug in just like the OEM lights that we had. They fit in and they turn. There's little notches that you have to watch for. But for some reason, the bottom notch looks like it's a little bit off. So we're going to do a deeper comparison of that versus the original OEM light and see if the notches look like they're off just a bit. And then maybe we'll use a Dremel or some other tool and kind of groove it out a bit just to make it fit better so that that plug can go back in and seat properly. It doesn't affect the way that it actually works. It still works the same because you take the LED wires that goes into that plug, and once they're connected, you get your lights. But for weatherproofing and just to make things right, let's get that thing seated in there properly and tightened down. All right, so let's get this light back out of here again. So again, you've got some plugs. They twist to the left and loosen, and that's what gets you disconnected there, so no problem with that. The resistor inside here is still attached, so we've been running it for about a week now, and it seems to be attached still, so that's a good sign. It hasn't overheated enough to melt itself away. We're going to unplug the LED wires from the old wiring harness. So like I said, it's just the top and bottom. So if you can see that in the video there, very simple. So that removes the light housing. I'll take that over. I'll protect the lens and put that on some foam there. So looking just inside here, let's do the first thing that we want to do is it's pretty dirty inside there. So let's wipe this down. I don't know if you can see that all right or not. Yeah, I guess you can see a little bit, but all right, you know what? We're gonna move this over here. Get you a little bit better view there. A little bit better view here. Just a light cleaner, nothing too crazy here, but I want to clean off the inside part of that truck. And you know, while we're here, let's just get the whole thing. It's pretty dirty in here. Should probably have got some paper towels first so I don't get this rag all nasty, but you know what? Use what you got. That looks a lot better. Doesn't affect anything, but you know what? You know it's there, and let's do it right. Okay. A lot cleaner there. Okay. So let's first see what we're dealing with on this resistor. So if you can see what we got here. So the resistor itself seems to be wired in fine. I don't see any issues with the wiring. Wires are not loose. The resistor itself is mounted by 2 screws to some plastic legs, if you can see those. And what happened on the old one is that the resistor got so hot that it melted the plate that it was on, melted the legs, and so it came detached. You know, probably not a safety issue or anything like that, but it's still, you know, it's there, and you know there's a problem. So we want to get that resolved. But overall, the biggest issue is the hyperflash. So I think my understanding is that resistor's job, its sole job, is to help you avoid the hyperflash. And since we still have them, I don't think it's doing its job. So today, I'm not sure if I want to mount it to my bed of my truck yet, because it's going to be a very tight fit to get that in there while you hold this, because you don't have disconnecting wires here. And I'm not really ready to mount that until I know that resistor is going to be working, because it's kind of a pain. So that's one piece. We'll check that out. All right, another comparison that we want to look at while we've got this back out again is the lens, the OKSIWA new lens that we have versus the OEM that came out of the truck. So it's just a nice red one. You know, these are kind of old school, I guess, but they're super bright and they work really well. But I really like the smoked lens look that I've got from the OKSIWA. So we're gonna stay with those. But let's just see if we can't get this in and look at the hole a little tighter. All right, I have these set up in the same orientation. So obviously the one on the left here is the original OEM tail light, and the one on the right is the one from OKSIWA. It's the LED replacement. So we're going to look at this. So like I said, we've got the 3 holes here. The top and the middle plug in fine on the new one, no issue. And so what we're plugging into, again, we have this wiring harness that comes out of the truck. So you've got your bottom, your middle, and your top. So each one of these plugs, can't get a little bit of focus here. I'm not getting much of a focus there. Let's see if we can't get it this way. It's hard to do this one-handed sometimes, but anyways, there's your plug. And it's got some little notches, right? And the problem is this bottom, the bottom piece, is the notching seems like it is just off a little bit because I cannot get it seated in there properly. So we'll look at the old one here. So we're going to say, okay, from the bottom, this is the bottom. So this is the one we're concerned with here. And we're going to look down and we're going to see how it's set up. So you've got a little bit of a larger spot here at the bottom, and then a medium size on the left, and then a smaller on the top right. So if you can see that, there you go. That's a little bit better view there. Let's see if I can't, yeah, there we go. And then on the new ones, same orientation. So there's the problem. The bottom right versus the bottom right. See how big that notch is versus that notch there. So we need to make this notch bigger. Actually, the whole thing is just off, right? So you can see this one has the smaller notch, but it's not dead center at the top. It's over about the 2 o'clock position, 2 o'clock position. On the new one, it's more at the 12 o'clock position. So that's this is our problem of why it's not connecting in. And then the bottom one, where it really eats up from about the 4 o'clock on a clock all the way a little past 6. On this one, we've got almost the same 4 o'clock, so not too bad on the top there, but the bottom needs to be eaten out a little bit more. And then on this medium size or middle sized one, that's almost at the 9 o'clock position, just a little bit north of the 9 o'clock. And then on the new one, it's more at the like 8 o'clock. So this thing, it's molded in, so it's not a piece that we can really change. We can try to Dremel it out a little bit and make it a little bit more match this guy, but it's not going to be exact. As long as we can get that plugged in and where it can twist enough to still grab, I think it'll be better than where it's at. So we'll try that up next. All right, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to compare these once again. Let's look at the bottom. I've got a yellow Sharpie highlighter here. A little past 6, and we'll say that's up to about the 4. So on the new one, I'm going to take off a little past 6. And just past 4. So that's 1. And then for the top one, it needs to be at about the 2 o'clock, which is really right here. This one I'm a little bit nervous about because we're not going to have a lot of plastic left up there. And then the one on the left, just a bit above the 9 o'clock. Oh yeah, it needs to come out some too. So we're not going to have a whole lot of plastic for it to reach into, but we will see. I'm going to kind of color that in a little bit so you can see better. And I'm going to show you this, don't worry. That way, when I'm dremeling, I kind of know what I'm taking off. All right, just so you can see a little bit better what I just did. So I'm going to be removing the green side, so I need to take a little bit off there, a little notch off there, take a little bit up there, and then a little bit off there. So we'll see if that works. Can't be any worse than it is now. It doesn't fit now, so we're going to try to fix it. All right, here we go. So I got this Dremel again, like I said. I'm going to use this little bit. We're just going to grind some out. Let's slide this over. Make sure you got your safety goggles on. Sorry if that's loud, but let's see what we can do here. Make sure you don't hit those wires, then nothing works. I'll hold those in place. It'd better if I had a little bit more of a finer tip, and I just don't use this Dremel enough to buy a lot of pieces for it. Wait. That's a chainsaw sharpening tool. I don't know if that would work though. Just need a really narrow. Oh, wait. This is also chainsaw, but I think this will be a lot better to do what we want it to do here. So let's cut these open. So I'm not going to be sharpening the chainsaw anytime soon. I've got one. I don't have to use it too often, but we're going to throw this in here. Yeah. Let's go with this guy over this guy. and then I think it'll fit a little bit better. So let me get my wrench. This guy down. All right, we're just going to take him out, put this new one in, tighten him down. Should have used this one to start with, but well. All right, good and tight. All right, round two. Oh yeah, much better. All right. You can always take more off, but you can't add it back. So I'll show you what I got going on here. It's not perfect, but all right. Hopefully this is the final one that's got it. I think that left side needed to come up just a bit more. Let's see. So let's plug the LED in first. It's hot out here. All right. Where's the fatter side? Is there. Like a glove. That's what I'm talking about. So it needs to do, it needs that, a little bit of modification. Can I get it out? Yeah, there it goes. Okay. So it's just about getting the inside of that plastic lined up. So for the 2007 through 13 GMC Sierra 1500 and the same for the Chevrolet Silverado 1500, that bottom plug, I noticed this on the previous LEDs as well. The bottom is just, the mold is off a bit. So I'll send a detailed picture of what the OEM looks like so that you can hopefully align that in the next manufacturing run. Just for the video as well. So if we look at the bottom of the tail light, you'll see this is kind of where we ended up. This is the OEM, the bottom. That's what we were trying to replicate. So we had to groove that a little bit more. But hey, it works now. So again, that is that's what you're striving for there, the OEM. And we're able to modify it a little bit so it fits in there a little bit more snug. It's not pretty right now, but it fits a lot better. So let's go with that. All right, next up, we're going to check out this weather stripping and see if we can't get this to attach to the top of this lens here so that it fills in the gap that we saw earlier. So I just bought this off Amazon. I don't know if this will work or not. We're going to try it out, and I'll share back any of the links if it does work. All right, so let's check it out. All right, that wasn't fitting on there very good. So what I've done is I've taken, if you can see this, it's got a, it's hard to see on this camera. There you go. It's got the little top lip here that spreads apart like such. And the idea is I wanted to wrap that around the top of the lens, but it's not deep enough. So what I've started on the other side here, we're just going to give this a shot, is I've taken and I've cut it to where it fits a little bit better. So let's just continue that cut down through, nice and easy. And I don't know if this is going to fit. It's ultimately not the exact right product, but at least you'll get the idea. I'm sure you can find something a lot better. But for me, if we can get this to work, then it gives you a lot better weatherproofing, which is one of the selling points to this light. So if we really want to call out weatherproofing, let's make sure it's weatherproof. Jeez. Stand up. All right, let me cut this and I'll be back. All right, like I said, final solution could look a little smoother, a little better, but that's kind of the concept, the idea that I'm going with here is trying to get some kind of rubber weather stripping that can go along. So that's 20 inches. So if you wanted to do the full, you would need, I'll have to measure that out for you. It's probably 24 inches or so. I don't know that it's needed on the side. We're going to try to set that back up here now and see if we have that same gap that we had before, or if it's improved. That's the goal. All right, so we'll check it out. All right, let's try this in place just to see. See, it's already coming loose a bit on the side here. Like I said, it's not the perfect replacement for what we need, but this will at least give us an idea of the concept, especially the top. I'm not going to worry about putting the plugs in just yet. This is just for fitment. So go into the plugs there. And seat it. And you know what? Let's go ahead and I don't know that the side is necessary, but just for placement, let's go ahead and stick a screw in here. All right, so that's the idea. So if I shrink this down a bit, pop the camera up a little bit. It's a lot better than it was. Maybe not perfect, but I think that'll give the smart guys there at OKSIWA the idea, and they could probably fill that in a little bit thicker. It'd be ideal if it follows the contour. I don't think that we're going to need it on the side. Let's go in closer. All right, so again, here's the top view. So you can see how I've got that in there. It's not filling it in completely, but I think it gives you the overall idea, thought that we have there. The side, like I said, I don't know that this is going to be necessary. Back that out a bit. If this is going to be necessary, you'd have to get it to fit better, obviously, if you do want to put it in. If ideally that rubber does go all the way around the entire lens, but it would have to fit super snug, right? It can't be this. It can't look like that. But just again to show you the difference. So that's with the new weather stripping. And if I were to remove it, well, I can't get it off there. You can see that it'll definitely have a difference on it though. Actually, you know what? Let's look over here at the driver's side. So see the full gap in the hole there without it. And if we go back over to the passenger side, I've kind of pulled and ripped it a little bit, but see, I can't barely see a little bit through there. So overall improvement, but yeah, so there's a suggestion for the engineering team. Maybe you guys could take it and make it a lot better. Thanks. Again, from the side, you know, it's definitely blocking the light. Whereas we look at it over on the driver's side, you can see through, right? But now on the right side, on the passenger side, it's definitely blocking off. So I would be a little bit less worried about water getting in. You know, to truly properly do this right, I need to bring this over just a little bit. But, you know, for now, I think just as a trial run, share back with the team. I think it could look pretty slick. You know, in fact, if it was sealed all the way around, as long as it's a nice and tight seal, I think a lot of guys would probably like that. It just gives it a little bit more secure, you know, weather resistant fit. It looks fine without it. It's just, you know, I know the water's not getting in there when it hits that. So anyway, let's do the driver's side now. All right, we're going to go just a bit faster on this one. So now we know kind of what we're up against here and what we're going to do. Unscrew. Okay. Our foam out here. First thing we're going to check is the resistor. Get that guy in there snug. There it goes. There we go. All right. Resistor looks okay. The bottom plug, of course, is loose. We know why. Because it doesn't fit properly on the plug there. Okay, so we're all there. So yeah, just a spot check on the resistor. Tight. I don't see or feel where it's warm at all. You know, like the last one was. The wires seem to be soldered in or plugged on good to that resistor. Don't see any concerns with it. It's a 50, looks like a 50-8 or 50-6. That means anything to you guys? Anyways, let's set this down. Let's see, that goes in that way. So let's set it down this way so we can get our orientation with the OEM side. All right, so the one on the right is the OEM lens, of course, solid red. And then we've got our newer one from OKSIWA. So I'll get a same kind of picture on the bottom plug of each because we're going to have to Dremel some of that out. Okay, like I said, here's the OEM. And you know, if we look at the bottom to see the placement of the notches, you can see that okay. So we've got kind of the bigger notch is the top left. That's going to be more of the 10, 11 o'clock position on the clock. The right one is the smallest notch. Or maybe it's the same as it looks the same on the bottom left and right. But the one on the right is about the 4 o'clock position. And the one on the left is about the 8 o'clock position. So we'll say 4, 8, 10, 11. 4, 8, 10, 11 on this one here. Looks like we have this one needs to come over to the left here for sure. So that's where it's off. The bottom right one, not too bad. Maybe we'll take a little bit off the inside, top right. So that'd be the 4 and the 8. According to the other one, a little bit higher. That actually might not be so bad on that one. I think the biggest thing on this one is this top one. It needs to come over to the left. We need to get some of that out here. We'll call it the 10 or 11 o'clock position on the dial versus this one. You can see that. So it's not straight up 12 o'clock in the middle top. This one is straight up in the middle top. So we need to go to the left a bit on this one. So let me get that marked up. Okay, so I've used the Sharpie marker there, and I'm going to take away the yellow-green that I've marked up here. So let's get that done. We'll put on the safety glasses and then use the Dremel and get going. Like a dentist. Don't want to hit the wires. That would be terrible. All right, let's see what we got there. So I just did a little bit out of this bottom side and a little bit on this top left. Be close. Let's try it. Before we do that, let's go ahead and stick this weather stripping on just in case it fits, because then I'm going to be done. All right, lock it in for the day on these guys. So like I said, not a perfect fit, but I think it's better than it was. And that's the goal of today. Leave it a little better than we found it. Okay. Some fun. Plug in. You know what we're going to also do? We're going to. I didn't do a good job on. Just knock the weather stripping off. You know, we need to prepare this for next time because I want to mount the resistor on the inside of the frame, and this is nasty in here. So I'm not going to do it today because the hyper flash is still a thing. So as soon as you guys get the hyper flash figured out, and the resistor is the right resistor, I will definitely mount that to the frame in here. I know it's still getting hot right now, and it could melt the plastic, and I don't want that to happen, but it doesn't feel like the other one. The other one was super, super hot and barely, used the lights for any amount of time, and I went through a test just a minute ago with these, so I would imagine that the heat should have still been there if I had the same problem, so I'm not as concerned on the heat with this one as I was the previous lens. But I'll go ahead and pull this. I think this is just an extra bulb, halogen that we don't need anymore. There's no sense in running that in there and keeping it hot while we're not using it. So I'm gonna go first at the bottom. I dropped the weather stripping, didn't we? Let's do that first. Split a little bit. Let's use this side. Yeah, this is definitely not the final call here, but make it a little better. If you do decide to go with something like this, make sure it fits on there snug, because if it's a pain to put on, you're going to get feedback that is the case. All right, see if I can do this without knocking it off. Not a lot of extra space here. Let's hope that plug is good because I don't want to have to do this again. All right. Okay, the middle one's in. Let's try this bottom one. It's been melted, but that last resistor stuck to this bottom. Look at that, like a glove. Perfect. First time. I was hoping that was going to be the case. Put our LED in. Perfect fit. We're all tight. Resistor wires are out of the way. Weather stripping is on as good as possible. I'm going to tuck that excess wires down in the bottom here. We don't need it. Line up our holes. One last check on the weather stripping. Snapped in. Good. All right. Let's grab our screwdriver. I put this hinge on here earlier today, and I'm digging that. That's pretty cool. All right, let's snug it down. Nice. Pushed in good. We'll move the Dremel. Get rid of the old bulbs. Move the old OEM lens out of the way. Clean up. All right, let's do a quick spot check on this guy. First of all, look at the difference again. Again, if you look at the difference, we could see through there clearly earlier. Now that weather stripping is blocking it perfectly. Still have the overhang issue here. I think I don't know if maybe putting weather strip around that, maybe if you had a corner piece that might set it better. But I am concerned that could break off. But look at the difference the weather stripping helps out on. So both sides again, no longer can you see daylight through there. This is the 10-inch piece. The 10-inch piece goes to the edge here. Still have an opening here. So, with the really good engineered solution, would probably have the whole thing covered all the way around. Some kind of gasket or enclosure around the light. That might give you a distinctive advantage over some of the others. So I've not used a lot of the other aftermarket tail lights, but as a consumer, that's just an extra piece of quality that I think might separate and differentiate you guys from the rest. And it's not going to cost you but a couple cents. Put that rubberized gasket around, and it would clean this up and make it nice and tight. I mean, it looks fine like the way it is. There's no problem with the way it looks. It's just the overall the functionality. And you can make it where, if guys want to remove it, maybe, or not install it, they could take it off. But, maybe it costs you a few extra cents, and maybe you can demand a few more dollars for it. So anyways, let's check out make sure the light works. All right, let's give it a shot here. Headlights on. Just make sure we got power and everything. Looks good. Beautiful. All right, we'll just run through driver's side test. We're almost done here for the day. So I'm going to apply the brakes. Let's go with the left blinker. Yeah, see, we go into hyper mode pretty quickly. It's always after the second or third click, we go into our hazards. No problem there. Just on the blinker. Reverse. Park. Brake off. Blinker without the brake. And shut down. Lights off. All right, last full run through test today. Lights on. Start it up. All right, we're going to go left blinker, right blinker. Look at that. Nope. The right blinker doesn't want a hyper flash sometimes. Let's do that one more time. Left blinker. It's always 1, 2, hyper flash. The right blinker. Now it's 1, 2, hyper flash. But before, you saw it went about 3, almost 4 seconds maybe then before the hyper flash. Let's go with brakes. Left blinker. We still have the brakes and right blinker. No hyper flash. You see that? What is going on? Let's try that again. All right, this time we're going to do brakes off. Let's do the left one again. The right one again. No brakes. It's intermittent. It's not hyper flashing. Oh, there it goes. So it took longer to get there, but now it's hyper flashing. Try it again on. Yeah, that time it was faster. It was 1, 2, hyper flash. Yeah, I don't know what's going on, guys. Something with the resistors on that one. Let's try the reverse. Nice. We got brakes on. Left blinker. Right blinker. A bit longer before hyper flash. Hazards. And we'll turn it off. Lights off. All done. So there you have it today, guys. So what we did is we took both the lenses off. We checked the resistors. The wiring looks fine. I did not mount those to the frame of the truck yet because we still have the hyper flash issue. Before I go through, and it's going to be a tight fit, and it's not going to be as easy. I don't want to go through that pain just to see a hyper flash again. So let's fix the resistors, whatever the solution is for that. We did Dremel out the bottom holes of the 3, and we're able to get those to fit snug. So those are good now. And I took some detailed pictures. I'll send those along so you can see maybe where on the next manufacturing run where you need to shave off a bit more or move those prong holes a bit over. Top and the middle fit fine. The bottom one is the problem. Last thing we did is we did the weather stripping. So I took a 20-foot piece off of Amazon. It didn't fit snug, so I had to cut it to kind of butterfly it a little bit. We cut it in half, used 10, is 20 inches. We used 10 inches on either side. I may have said 20 feet, but we used 10 inches on either side just to kind of see what it looks like. I mean, even from back here, I think it looks good. But more importantly, it's going to help protect water from getting down inside those lenses. So it's not the final solution, I get it, but maybe it's an idea that you guys can come up with something that's appreciated a bit more. That's it for the day. So we'll be back in touch again soon. Hope you have a good one. Check out Lucky Left 615. Take care.